Well, here it is, guys. We got the transmission out, and it was a little bit tricky, and we didn't want to bore you with the video because there were some issues. We had some snags, but for the most part, I'd say 3.5, maybe 4.5 hours. We got it out. You can see the dowel pin. One of the dowel pins came out in the tranny, and it should stay in the engine. It wasn't too bad. There was a couple tricky areas to get to, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the pump off, and we're going to see what kind of damage is there, because that's, as we all know, with the 6L80, if the torque converter is the issue, that it sent metal through the pan and all, or through the pump and all that. So we'll see. We'll get the bell housing off with the pump housing and the stator, and then I'll reposition the camera so I can get you on the bench here, and I'll show you if there's any damage or not. And as you know, we got the pan. I took the pan off, and I just put 4 bolts back in so we could remove the transmission. So what I'm going to do now is I'll get the start to take the pan, 15mm, and these are just pump housing bolt, or the bell housing bolts. There's no seals or nothing on them, so. Work in various areas, as you know, I don't have a shop yet, but one day I'll show you guys my plans. I have plans drawn out. Well, 3D plans I made on SketchUp. I'll show you guys that. I hope to build that in the next year or so. There we go. There's the bolts. For the bell housing, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. And that's it for the bell housing. There's no seals. There's no special thing about that, as most know. And like I said, I have a stand I use, and I will use when I rebuild it. I just have a motor on the standard now that I use to put the transmission on as well, but it's just being used right now, so we'll give this a tap. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? And that's what will happen if you don't. So if you don't take this seal off, this is the TCC seal lockup. It was flat, so it was no good. So if you don't use that seal, you will have no lockup, and you also will have a tough time getting the bell housing off. So bell housing up here, out of the way. And there's the drum for the 3/4. So what we'll do is we'll do an air check here and see if there's any cracks, which there could be. And by just looking at it, it sure looks rough. But we'll get to that anyways. And so what I'll do now is now that I have the bell housing off with the pump out, with the stator and that, I'll get you repositioned, and I'll show you the pump. So here's the bell housing now. I got the bell housing sitting up on the bench. Move the rest of the transmission away. We'll do that as I go. So I just want to do the major inspection on this thing. So far everything looks good, and as you know, we saw all the metal in the pump, so hopefully the camera's not too bouncy. The floor is not very sturdy in this place. So what we're going to do is seal on here we can take off. It's the rubber seal that goes around. Then what we'll do is we'll take off. These are, I believe these are 8mm, so we'll get the other impact out, and we'll get a smaller tool here. Just give me 1 sec. I believe it's an 8-inch bolts. So we'll take off the pump bolts and we'll get after. We'll see what's behind door number 2. Okay guys, now some guys, there is a seal behind this. Some guys, the manual says do not take it off. Some guys do, some guys don't. Being that I'm not that experienced with it, and I'm doing this is my own. So anything happens, it's all on me. So I'm not going to bother with it. I'll just leave it the way it is, and we'll hope for the best. Okay, moment of truth. Okay. There is the stator off. Oh, forgot one bolt. Got my rag here. Give it a wipe. I can show you guys firsthand what I'm gonna see is what you'll see. And from what I can see already, we have some damage. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but there is some scoring around there. I can't feel it with my fingernail. You know, is this the... You see that? Nothing's catching. But you can see some metal has got behind there. So, I'm not really catching anything, but there is some scratch. You can see there is some scoring around it. So, might have the stator might be no good. You can Scotch Brite it up, emery cloth, whatever, and we can see if that'll get rid of it, but hard to say. It's kind of catching there, so yeah, it might be wiped. It's like every other 6L80, it might be wiped, so we'll get the rotor, slide this rotor out. I mean, that looks okay. Pump guide is there. The veins out. Veins. Pretty worn. Wiped off. So yeah, looking like the stator's wiped out. But guess we could. I'll have a more in-depth inspection on it after I get you off the get it off the video here. But what we'll do is we'll get this spring out. Pump slide out. There's some bluing left on there, but see, there's some, looks like metal got behind it. So that's the slide. There's the guide pin. A little bit worn there, but for the most part it seems okay. Now let's check out this bad boy. A moment of truth. You can see, I don't know if you guys can see that on there, but there is some metal behind the slide. There is some gouging. Yeah. I think she's toast, folks. Yeah. If you can see that or hear that. Yeah. You can get this machined, and what they'll do is they'll machine this down the same depth, and you can kind of resurface it and renew it. But a lot of guys say that if it's gouged, then don't even bother with it. So you guys are seeing it firsthand with me as well, so I think we need a new pump cover. Yep, looks like we need another pump cover. Wiped out. And I think we need a new stator as well. Because, as you can see, also, you can barely feel it, but like, I don't know if you can see the lines and stuff. There's some metal got behind it and scored it. You can see kind of a groove line there, so yeah. Pump and stator are done. So it's gonna need a new pump and stator, as you can see. I will be just buying a brand new AC Delco OEM. So now I know the biggest cost is gonna be, hopefully that's where it stops, because it can get expensive. It's already expensive enough replacing this, but a stator as well is close to twice what this is. So yes, to replace the stator is quite the penny. So the pump cover, not so bad. You know, this ain't a whole lot to replace. Not a whole lot to replace that, but this is what will cost the money. And it's pretty worn, you know. maybe somebody could salvage it and, you know, machine it down. The stator for the most part looks pretty good. Like there's no chattering. Not seeing any worn marks. Yeah, looks pretty good other than the fact that it's wiped out in the front part there. So let's get that pressure regulator valve out of there. See if we can get it out of there, and we'll check that and see. See if we can check what that's like. So what we gotta do is just push this thing and the pin should fall out. There it goes. Now the boost valve will come out. Felt a little rough coming out of there. There might be some metal in there as well. But let's get that valve. Let's get that valve out of there and see how worn that is. There's a spring. Oh, yeah, look at that. It's really worn, pretty worn, guys. Pretty bad. Like, I don't know if you can see the shininess. It's pretty shiny, and it looks like it's worn down quite a bit on one side, as well as at the end here. A little bit at the edge. But yeah, look at that. She's worn out. So, multiple issues with this transmission. I tried to save it with the transmission tune. I took out TCC and all that. DOD, deleted DOD, all that stuff. But obviously it was already on its way out, you know. I noticed the shutter, kind of a slip at cruising down the highway about 120. Well, I'm in Canada, so excuse my language, but I'm doing 120k down the highway, you know, about 70 mile an hour, and it sits at about 2,000 RPMs, you know, 1800, 2000, and it kind of just, there was a little flutter, like it just, you know, like it was just like the RPM would go up a little, just a bit, not all the time, but every once in a while. So we knew there was a shutter, and kind of knew it was on its way out. So, and I was going to do the DOD delete, like do the cam and all that. So I just wasn't going to do it until summer because it's winter kind of where I am. Well, it's coming spring now, but it's still a little cold getting this transmission out. But we got it out, like I said. And yeah, so that's where we're at. So we'll do the hard parts in the next section of this video, or this rebuild. I'll take apart the hard parts and show you guys that, and we'll see where we go from there. Hopefully the drum is probably, I'm guessing the drum is probably shot, so that's more money there. Just hopefully the rear planet there and all that is good, because that could get really costly. So hopefully it's worth rebuilding than just to buy a new one or remanufacture it. So we'll see. Yeah, that's where we are. Pumps wiped out. Rollers, vanes, the slide. Stator's done. Pump case is done.